Hello all, so I'll be discussing now a very simple machine learning algorithm called naive Bayes. So here the naive means a simple, and Bayes here comes from the Bayes theorem of probability. So we'll begin with the Bayes theorem first, and then we'll thoroughly discuss what's the mathematics behind naive Bayes. So obviously it will be a totally probabilistic based approach. Now let me discuss about conditional probability first, because Bayes theorem, let me just write Bayes theorem this side as of now. Let's say we have two events A and B. So what Bayes theorem says is just a relation between the conditional probabilities of two events. So what does this mean is that the probability that what is the probability that event A will occur provided the B has already occurred. So it will be the same thing but the other way around, that what is the probability that event of occurring of event B provided A has already occurred into probability of A and divided by probability of B. And also there are some specific names for it. So this is called a posterior probability. The all names are derived from I think the history of probability, so that's why they are named like this nowadays as well. This is called likelihood. This is called prior or class prior, we'll see. And this is just an evidence, and we'll see we'll not take care much about evidence. Now let's focus on Bayes theorem's proof. So as I said, conditional probability is being involved. So I'll write a little bit about conditional probability first. So what does conditional probability means and how it is defined? So what is the probability of occurrence of event A provided B has already occurred is given by what is the probability that A and B occur simultaneously, or sometimes it is also written as probability of A comma B. So this indicates that both occurs at a time and divided by probability of B. So this is what is the definition. This is B. So this is what is the definition of conditional probability. So simply, right now I'm not taking any particular example, but I'll take that as well. So simply what I can say is that now I'm starting the proof of my Bayes theorem. So simply what I can write is, I'll start with here A given B, and we know it is written as probability of A given B divided by probability of B, and we know that intersection, this is a set theory you can say, and intersection is commutative, so we can write it as B intersection A as well, and I'll write just probability of B. Correct. Now from here as well, from this definition of conditional probability, what I can write, if I'll just interchange A and B in this equation, what I'll have is probability of B given A will be probability of B intersection A divided by probability of A. So what I'll do is I'll use this B intersection A over here. So what I can write is, it is nothing but probability of B given A into probability of A and divided by probability of B, and this is what our Bayes theorem says. So this is the basic proof of Bayes theorem, and now we'll see how it is used in naive Bayes. And in naive Bayes there will be something called class conditional probabilities, or we can say conditional independence. So the naive name here comes from this assumption. So we'll assume that we have conditional independence between the features. So all this might be some scary terms as of now, but everything will be crystal clear. Let's go towards this Wikipedia page. So you can see here that this is the naive Bayes. Let me just have my cursor as well. So here you can see that this is the naive Bayes Wikipedia page, and everything is very nicely explained here. So I'll start from here. That naive Bayes, let's consider that we have one feature vector x and it has n number of features. So we can consider this as one random variable x which has n features, and we are saying that we have n independent features or variables. So what actually we want? We want is that what is the probability, and let's say we have k classes, so it's a classification problem. Yeah, you can see naive based classifier. So let me first frame the problem. The problem is that given that we have a data set, let's say, sorry, we have this data set D, and we have label as well. So given the number of features, that is x1 x2 up till xn, so we have total m number of, let's say, data points in a data set, and we have to classify this data points into number of classes. Let's say we have k classes here, so here it is said that we have k number of classes, so our classes are ck. So what naive Bayes simply does is that it will just calculate the probability, that what is the probability that my data point belongs to class ck. Let's say we have two classes c1 and c2, so let's say it belongs to class c1 given my data point x, or I can write x1 up till xn. So our ultimate task is to calculate this probability, and naive Bayes theorem, or the Bayes theorem, sorry, also calculate something like this. Yeah, based on this condition. So that's why Bayes theorem will be useful here intensively, and this is what I wrote, that what are all the terminologies. So the probability of my probability that my given a feature vector, what is the probability that it belongs to class ck is given by probability of x given ck, just the other way around from the Bayes theorem, b given a into probability of a, so into probability of ck, and divide by probability of b, which is nothing but probability of x here. So this is what we have up until now. Let me just clear the screen first, and then we'll go step by step. So here you can see, firstly, what we want. We want to calculate, our ultimate target is to calculate this, and in order to calculate this, we should have this conditional probability, and we know how to calculate this conditional probability, because we can write our conditional probability like this, that what is the probability that my x given ck, I can write it as probability of, this is capital X, so x1 x2 up till xn comma ck divided by probability of ck. This is just our conditional probability definition. Yeah, so the same thing we'll do. So as I said, in practice there is only numerator of the fraction that we are interested in. The denominator, because it does not depend on the value c, so it's not visible, I think. So here you can see that we are just concerned about this prior and likelihood, that is this thing. Our ultimate task is to calculate this and not the other things. Yeah, because our denominator is just the evidence, and it doesn't depend on c. So the numerator, as I said, we can write it as, from the conditional definition that I just wrote, we can write it like this. Yeah, so this thing is just written like this. It's like probability of a intersection b, or we are writing as probability of a given b. Correct? So from just the definition, let me just write it again, that a given b is given by this thing. So what we are doing is, when we'll take this thing here, then what we have, probability of a given b into probability of b, and which is this thing. So I am just writing this thing, that is probability of a given b into probability of b, as probability of a intersection b, or we can write it like this, a given b. That's it. So here will be b, so b will just go here, and I am writing this with the commas notation, not the intersection one. So I wrote this like this. Now what we do is that we'll use the chain rule for the repeated application of conditional probability. So I'm just rearranging it. So as we know that intersection is commutative, so we can write a intersection b or b intersection a, doesn't matter. But here we just don't have just two events, we have ck x1 x2 up till xn. So I'm just rearranging it and writing ck at the last. Now I am applying my conditional probability definition to just x1 and condition on the rest. So we know that probability of a given b can be written as a comma b both at a time can be written as a given b into probability of b. So consider this as a and the entire rest from x2 to xn and ck as b. So I just wrote a given b into probability of b. Now I'll put the first term, my first term will be as it is. So let me have the highlighter. So my first term now is as it is, and now I'll do this for x2. So now I'll be having x3 up till xn and ck, then x3 comma x4 up to xn and ck. Yeah, this is the same thing I'm doing repetitively. So at the end what I'll get, this is the first term, second term, then the last term will be probability of ck, the last second will be xn given ck, and this will be xn minus 1 given xn and ck. So this is what we get just for the numerator part. And as I said, we are not concerned about denominator because it's just a constant, and that's why we'll now use the proportionality here. But now, what is the naive assumption? Why it is called naive based? The naive assumption comes from here, that we will have the conditional independence, as I said. So what we'll do is that, what's the assumption is that, assume that all the features in x, that is x1 x2 up till xn, are mutually independent but conditional on category ck. So let me just brief you through this thing. So this is really important, so just focus here. Now what I'm saying here is that we are having this thing. Up till this everything is clear. Now what are independent events? Let me just frame it for you. The definition, general definition of independence event. So when two events A and B are called independent, when probability of A given B is already occurred will be just equal to probability of A. It doesn't matter what even B has occurred or not, it is just independent, so it will be just equal to probability of A. Or the other way around, you can write B given A is just equal to probability of B. Then what I can say, A and B are independent. So I'll use this definition now here, that here it's not just the independence, but as I said, it's the conditional independence. So what this conditional means now, this is really important, that whatever this xi is there, that is, I'm just focusing on the first term, what I'll write this as probability of x1 given ck. So it's like, if I'll frame in this term, so I can say that the x1 is conditionally independent to x2 x3 up till xn given ck, correct? So if I have probability of A given B comma C, so I can just write it as probability of A given C. But what can I read is that my A is conditionally independent of B given C, correct? So the same thing, that this middle term will not be there, just we can write first term and last term. And the same thing I'll do here, that if I'll have B, C, D and so on, here we have x1 given x2 xn up till ck, so I'll use just the last one. So I'll just use the last one, that is ck. And the same thing I'll do for all the terms. So in general it can be written as whatever is there from I plus 1 up till xn for xi and comma ck, I'll just have xi comma ck. So now this term will be really simplified just on the assumption of this conditional independence. So again, first this term is here right now, this probability of ck is here. Now we are writing everything from simplified terms of this based on the assumption of conditional independence. So this can be written as just x1 given ck, x2 given ck and so on. So in general I can write it as, this is a product sign, so it's just the product of xi given ck, and let's say we have n number of features. So it will be just xi given ck and product of all the terms from I equals 1 to n. And note that I just used here the proportionality sign. So I didn't use, let me just erase all these things. So as you can see here, I used proportionality sign because we are just concerned about numerator, because denominator is p of x and it's a constant value. Yeah, because x we already know from our input, so we are just having proportionality sign. We are just concerned about this thing. Now, having said that, so here if you have to remove this proportionality sign, you have to have p of x in the denominator as well. So now this is how we are making our model naive based. But now what about the classification, that after calculating all these probabilities, that is conditional probabilities, priors and posteriori and everything, what how we'll decide that at the end ultimate goal is to classify that for given query point in my data set, whether it belongs to class 1 or class 0 or any class. If I have k number of classes, whether it belongs to class 1, class 2, up till which class, kth class. So ultimate goal is this, and for that what we'll do is that we'll find the maximum. So we'll find the probability for all the classes and we'll see which one is the maximum. So in short, what I can say is that if I have two classes, just for simplicity, two classes, class 1 and class 2, or class 0 and class 1, then what I can say is that I'll calculate probability of y equals to 1 given x. So probability of class 1 given my feature vector x using this formula, and also I'll calculate for class 2, that what is the probability that it has class 2 given x. And then what I'll do, I'll decide the class that my given x, that this will be unseen data x. So my given x belongs to class 1 or class 2 based on the values. So which one is greater? That's why it's argmax. So let's say if I get this as 0.02 and I get this as 0.01, then what I'll say, this is greater, so I'll decide this. And that's why it is called maximum a posteriori probability, or this is called a map rule, decision rule. Correct? So this is a very simplified algorithm, and that's why it is the baseline algorithm as well. So it is usually used to compare the performance of the complex algorithms like logistic regression and other algorithms like KNN and decision tree and so on. So this is considered as the baseline because this is the very simplest algorithm just based on conditional independence and Bayes theorem. So the important thing here is just the Bayes theorem. In next lecture what I'll do is I'll thoroughly take one example and then we'll take the hands on. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next video.